All right, everybody, what is going on? Happy Sunday, and welcome to today's edition of SWAC Talk, the show we cover the SWAC inside and out. Of course, I'm your tour guide around the SWAC. See what's coming at you, and we're gonna start talking about the SWAC tournament. The regular season came to an end last night. The tournament is set. We're gonna break down the quarterfinal games, and then I'm gonna give my winner of the entire tournament. And we're gonna cover this tournament from start to finish. All this upcoming week. So. We'll recap the games on. We'll recap the first two quarterfinal games on Wednesday. Then we'll recap the other quarterfinal games on Thursday. Then on Friday we'll recap the semifinals, and then Saturday we'll recap. Well, probably Sunday we'll recap the championship, and then we'll also preview. Monday we'll preview whoever the SWAC is facing in any postseason games. Also Sunday, I'm going to give my overall thoughts on the tourney besides recapping the championship. So that's how it's all going to be laid out for the upcoming week. I will have a written article preview of the tournament on bustingbrackets.com. Going to probably be a little bit more in-depth than this one. So definitely make sure y'all hit that up on bustingbrackets.com. Or you can get the link from my socials. Facebook is SWAC Talk, Instagram SWAC Talk, Twitter SWAC Talk 76. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you have already, thank you very much. If you haven't, man, go ahead and hit that button and rock with me. Like the video, share it, comment your thoughts on the tournament. Who you think gonna win? Who you think gonna go out early? You know, who gonna blow? You know, who gonna have a great tournament? Who might flame out? Players that you think gonna blow up, and the whole nine, man. Just share your whole thoughts on it, and I'm gonna share mine here. So let's go ahead and get into this SWAC tournament 2024 SWAC men's tournament. I'm not going to cover the women's tournament. I leave that to the experts. Live for Hoops on Twitter. She does a great job covering HBCU women's basketball as a whole, but SWAC basketball, she does a great job. So if you want to get the full breakdown and all of that of the SWAC women's tournament, that's the best place to get it. Link will be in the description. Other than that, I'm going to stick to my expertise. So let's start off. Tournament runs from March 13th to March 16th. Birmingham, Alabama, Bartow Arena on the campus of University of Alabama, Birmingham. 2 games on Wednesday, 2 games on Thursday, semifinals on Friday, championship on Saturday. The first quarterfinal game is game 1. That'll take place on Wednesday, March 13th at 2 p.m. That game features the 7th seed Alabama A&M Bulldogs taking on the number 2 seed Big Bad Braves of Alcorn State. First and foremost, Alcorn is the hottest team coming into this tournament. They won 9 games in a row. They haven't lost since they lost to Grambling in the mid portion of the season. So they've been extremely, extremely hot. Obviously, when you win 9 games in a row, a lot of things have gone your way. The key thing to me when you have a winning streak that long is, how long can you keep it going? You're in a one and done situation. Can you keep this going game in and game out, knowing that, if you drop a game now, it's over for you. But the Braves have played really, really well later at this portion of the season. They're coming to this tournament averaging 71 points per game. They're giving up 77.3. I'm using the overall numbers now because, we're getting ready for the big tournament. You want to take everything into account with each team. So Alcorn is averaging 71 points per game, giving up 77. The Bulldogs are averaging 68.6 points per game, and they're giving up 76.3. So both teams are giving up about the same. Alcorn scores a few more points than the Bulldogs do. Alcorn is probably a better offensive team than the Bulldogs. Alcorn shoots about 44% from the field. Alabama A&M shoots 41. Defensively, Alcorn, their opponents shoot 46%. Alabama A&M opponents shoot 42%. 3-point shooting, Alcorn, they shoot 33% from 3, and Alabama A&M shoots 28. So that's a big difference in a game like this. I can already let you know the top guy for Alcorn from 3-point range is Jeremiah Gambrell. He can really fill it up. He shoots like 42% from 3. So he's a guy that can really fill it up. Alcorn defensively, their opponents shoot 37%. Alabama A&M's opponents shoot 35% free throws. Alcorn, they shoot 70% from the free throw line. A&M shoots 71.4% from the line. A&M's opponents shoot 74% from the line, and Alcorn's opponents shoot 71% from the line. Rebounding, that's a big key in games like this. Alcorn averages 34 rebounds per game. A&M averages 35.3. Alcorn's opponents, they average 32 rebounds per game. So Alcorn out rebounds their opponents by 2 rebounds per game. A&M's opponents, they average 36.3 rebounds per game. So they are actually getting out rebounded by their opponents by like 1 rebound per game. Turnovers, the Braves, they turn the ball over 11.8 times per game. The opponents turn it over 11.7. Alabama A&M, they turn the ball over 16.4 times per game, and they force 14.5 turnovers per game. So Alcorn they don't really turn the ball over a lot. They are the second. They are the team with the second fewest turnovers per game in conference. A&M, they are the team who turns the ball over the most in conference. So that's going to be a big key in a game like this. You got to really take care of the ball in these kind of situations. A&M blocks almost 4 shots per game. They do have some big bodies inside. Alcorn is last in block shots at 1.8. Neither team is really great with assists. Alcorn is at 11.7, and A&M is at 10.8. Alcorn they average 6.6 steals per game, and A&M averages 7.7. So pretty even now. One thing I do like to look at when I look at teams and their shooting is how much they shoot threes. A&M has made the fewest amount of threes in the conference. They've made 128 threes in the conference. Alcorn is at 156. They both make similar amounts per game. Alcorn makes 5 per game. A&M makes 4.1. When it comes to attempting threes, A&M doesn't even really shoot a lot of threes. They have the fewest 3-point attempts in the league at 449. Alcorn right behind them at 470. So neither team really shoots a lot of threes when you compare it to a team like Pine Bluff, who shot almost 900 threes this season. So they don't really shoot a lot of threes. They don't really make a lot either. But both teams have guys that can hurt you from their range. Jeremiah Kendall and Jeremiah Gambrell really are the guys who make it go for Alcorn. Kendall is the guy that gets it done inside. He averages 16.3 points per game. Gambrell is a guy, like I said, he's a really, really great three-point shooter. He shoots 42% from 3. That leads the league. He last season at Prairie View, he shot a lot of threes. He took tons of threes. He's cut down that number playing at Alcorn, and he's made a lot of big shots. If you watch any Alcorn game, you're gonna see him hit 2 or 3 really long threes in big situations. Byron Joshua is another guy who can get it done. As a point guard, he can rebound for his size. He can distribute the ball. He can score as well. DeKeidron Thorne is another guy for Alcorn who can really get it done. A&M's playing without their top scorer, Dallin Smith. He's like a 14-point per game scorer. So their scoring averages are low. After him, Omari Peak averages like 9 points per game. Cameron Tucker is also around that 9-point per game mark. Lorenzo Downey and Peak, they both average about 4 rebounds per game. They are, like I said, they are a team that I think is they're just one of those teams that if you're not careful, they can beat you. If you can get the tempo up and and get up and down the floor and score, they aren't typically gonna match you in that aspect. So what like I said, so really what you want to do is find yourself a good tempo and run them, honestly. And I think Alcorn, they're a team who can score. I mean, they scored 105, I think, last night against Pine Bluff. So they can put the points on the board. The defensively, they're pretty solid as well. Coach Bussey likes to try to hold his opponents under 60 points. A&M's a team I think that is you're more than capable of holding them under that. If you hold Alcorn holds their opponents under 57 points, they're gonna win the majority of the time. So that's the key for Alcorn, is to keep the score low on the Bulldogs end and them to knock down their shots and let Kendall work inside, rebounding and scoring points inside. Let your guards make the plays against a backcourt that I think that you are better than. So I think, like I said, the first time these two teams played, they only played once this season. Alcorn won that game 74-71. That was like the third or fourth game of the season. So, these two teams are kind of coming in at different ways. A&M's coming in off of a win over Southern, but they're a 9-9 team. So they've been up and down all year. Alcorn, like I said, coming in on 9 straight wins. They're extremely hot. Can they keep that going? That's going to be the key to this. Obviously, lose and you go home. I do think the Braves will win this game, but I think A&M's going to make it tough. I think they're going to, try to make this game ugly, but I really feel like Alcorn's going to be able to get the job done and take care of business and advance to the semifinals. So that takes us to our next Wednesday's quarterfinal, and that's Grambling taking on Alabama State, the 1 seed Grambling Tigers against the 8 seed Alabama State Hornets. That game is Wednesday, March 13th at 8:30 p.m. Excuse me. This was a 1-1 series. Grambling won the first matchup in February, 74-68, and then last night Alabama State won a double overtime game over Grambling, 87-84. Now I don't really put a lot of stock into that win because I don't really know how locked in Grambling was. I mean, they had already clinched the conference a couple games ago. You're playing against a team who, yes, they needed this win badly to get in, because if State lost, they were going to be out regardless of what happened in front of them. So they needed this win badly. And I'm not saying Grambling didn't come to play. I'm not saying they coasted. I'm not saying they quit or anything like that. I'm just saying I don't know what their focus was as far as getting, going all out in this game, because yes, a win helps us another win on your record, but knowing that you already got the 1 seed locked up and nothing's going to change, I mean, you can't even really influence, much other than, maybe who you play against. But Bama State played a really good game. They led this game for pretty much the entire game before late in the second half when Grambling made a run and tied the game up and sent it to overtime. Went to double overtime. Bama State was able to pull out a win. Bama State's a team, they're a frustrating team to me, because they have talent. TJ Madlock's a guy that scores like 15 points per game. You got CJ Hines, who can score big shots at any time. Isaiah Range is another guy who can score you. That Range and Hines are both like guys who score almost 10 points per game. Hines is a guy that can shoot from outside. Range can shoot as well. He's more of a guy that's a streaky type of guy, but he can hit 3 or 4 threes for you in a game. Madlock's a guy that can get to the basket. Ubonga Khan is a big body inside. He averages 6.3 rebounds per game. This team just doesn't have the consistency. They score 69 points per game. They give up 69 points per game. They shoot 37% from the field, which hurts. But they play pretty solid defense. The opponents shoot 41%. They shoot 28% from 3. The opponents shoot 33%. They shoot 72% from the line. The opponents shoot 72% from the line. They rebound at 39.6 rebounds per game. The opponents at also 39.2. So they are a team I just can't really put my finger on what their deal is. They don't turn the ball over a lot. They have the fewest turnovers per game in the conference. They force 14.8 turnovers a game, almost 15, which is like the fourth most. So they force turnovers a lot, and they don't turn the ball over a lot, but they don't shoot well. I think that's the biggest thing. They don't shoot well. They're a very athletic team. They got guys that can put the ball on the floor and get to the basket, but they've just been really slumping for the bulk of the season. They're 8-10 in conference. In January, they were like 5-1, and they lost to Texas Southern at that point, 55-53, I believe it was. And from then on, they've really not won a lot of games. They had a 4-game losing streak in there as well. So they haven't really played great ball down the stretch. Now they won the one game they needed to win, and that was last night to get in the tournament. I don't know if that's enough to get them over the hump against a team like Grambling. When Grambling's on point, they are tough to beat. Grambling right now they're scoring 67 points per game. They give up 70. They shoot 44% from the field. The opponents shoot 44%. They shoot 32% from three. Opponents 34% from three. 71% from the line, 73 for the opponents. Grambling averages 32 rebounds. The opponents 33.1. When it comes to turnovers, Grambling uh, they average 13.6 rebounds. 13.6 turnovers per game, which is right in the middle of the conference. They force 13.2. So they another team that they don't have a high turnover margin. They take care of the ball pretty well. Dozier is a guy who can explode for 25, 30 points in a game. He averages 13.3. Moulton is another guy that can score the ball. Jordan Smith, Barnett, they have guys that can score. Aku is the guy inside, really strong on the boards. He averages like 5.3 rebounds per game. Obviously this team is number one for a reason, and they are the team that I think is going to win it all. Spoiler alert. So I think for me in this game, the key for Grambling is to put Saturday's game behind them and get back into the focus that they were in when they were on that winning streak to close out the season. Now, one of the tough things is being able to turn it back on after a game like that. That's going to be where my interest in with Grambling is, can they turn it back on and get themselves ready for a one and done situation? They can't start slow in this game. Saturday's game and Thursday game against Alabama A&M, they fell behind in both of those games. They were able to come back in both. They won the A&M game late. They lost this game late. I don't think in a tournament setting you can afford to do that. But that's my only concern with Grambling. But I think that they'll be fine in this game because Bama State hasn't been a consistent team, and I don't think they can play the kind of game they played Saturday, turn around and play that game again on Wednesday against the same team. They haven't really played back-to-back good games in a long time. So I don't really think they can do it. Obviously in a tournament, anything can happen, but I think Grambling is going to get the win here and advance to the semifinals on Friday. That takes us to our first Thursday quarterfinal. That would be Jackson State and Texas Southern. That's a 3-6 matchup. Texas Southern is the 3 seed. Jackson State's the 6 seed. These two teams played twice. They split the season series. Jackson State won the first game 73-64 in Jackson. That game was in January. And then in March, at the beginning of the month, TSU beat Jackson State at home 80-70 in a game that JSU led for a good bulk of the game before TSU went on a run and pulled away. Starting with JSU, this team has been up and down all season. They've had a lot of injuries. They lost one of the guys who they were really counting on before the season even started. Jordan O'Neal went down with an injury for a little while. Chase Adams went down with an injury for a while. They hit a 4-game losing streak in the middle of the season that kind of knocked them out of fighting for, the top spot. They were able to get back on track and win 4 games in a row before they lost to TSU, which kind of put them in that 5-6 spot, and ultimately they were finished 6th. Ken Evans is the guy on this team. Ken Evans is probably at this point, because of other guys not being available anymore, Ken Evans is the leading scorer in the conference. He averages 18.9 points per game. He can go for 25, 30, 35 points in a game. He can, he's a guy who can shoot well. He's shooting 41% from the field. He's a guy who's a solid guy, rebounding the ball as well. He averages 5.5 rebounds per game. So he can do anything that you need. And a guy like that can put you on his back in a tournament. And that, if I needed a guy on my team, that's the kind of guy I would love on my team in this kind of situation. He's going to do whatever it needs to be done to get you that dub. Jordan O'Neal is another guy who can score the ball pretty well inside, and he can rebound as well. He's a guy who can make things happen for you on either end of the court. He can block some shots as well. O'Neal averages 12 points per game and rebounding. He is at 6.1. Also, Zeke Cook averages 6.6 rebounds per game. So they are strong inside. Chase Adams can rebound for his size. He's a good distributor. He can score the ball. He just came back from an injury. So they have the players to get it done. They just have been struck with so much bad luck all season. This is a good time to reset. Coming off of 2 big wins to close out your season, and now you get to kind of regroup and reset and get yourself back ready. They're going to be a tough matchup for TSU. JSU averages 71 points per game. They give up 75. They shoot 41% from the field. They shoot 45% from three. 45. The opponents shoot 45%. They shoot 32% from three. The opponents 35. They shoot 71% from the line. The opponents shoot 70. JSU averages 36 rebounds per game. They give up 35. They play on a TSU team who, if you know them, you know this is their time of the year. TSU has won 3 straight tournaments and 5 of the last 6. So this is the time that TSU this is the time that they shine. They've done it in multiple ways. They've done it as the 1 seed. They've done it as a middle seed. They've done it as the 8 seed last year. Coach Jones, when he gets his guys in, they're gonna get it done. So this is a good matchup. This is an intriguing matchup. Both teams average about the same. TSU averages 70 points per game. They give up 71. They shoot 41% from the field. The opponents shoot 42. They shoot 33% from three. The opponents shoot 33. They shoot 71% from the line. Opponents 70. They average 35.7 rebounds. The opponents 36.5. So you look at these two teams, they are basically the same. PJ Henry is the guy that can score for TSU. He averages 15 points per game. And if you remember last season in the tournament, he really got hot in a couple games and just really bombed a lot of people. Jonathan Cisse is another guy who can score. He's about a 12-point per game scorer. He also shoots the ball really well from three, like 39% from three. So that's a guy that can get it done. Grayson Carter inside, is a big body that can rebound and score. This team they started off a little slow, but they have been able to put things together at the right time, and they're coming in pretty hot. They were able to beat Alcorn and Jackson State in the last couple of weeks, so they've beaten 2 teams who are really playing well. Also beat Southern in this part of the season, so they've beaten a lot of teams, and that win over Southern is the reason why TSU is the 3 seed and not the 4 seed. This is this probably, to me, is probably the best first round matchup out of any match out of the 4 quarterfinal games. I think this is the best matchup. These 2 teams are almost even. Like I said, they split the season series. They both won by similar margins. JSU won by 9, TSU won by 10. They both have guys that can really light it up. So I'm interested to see how this game goes. I still think TSU is going to win it because it's March. I default to them in this situation. So until they lose, I'm going to ride with TSU for the most part in this tournament. I just think that having a coaching staff that knows how to get things done in this portion of the season, guys that were on teams the last few years, they understand what it takes to win. Nothing's going to be too big for them. I'm not saying that that they can't lose a game big, but they're not going to be intimidated by any moment in this tournament. So you'll have to beat them just by beating them. You won't beat them because they couldn't handle the moment. That's the key to me in this game. And that's why I think TSU is going to win. JSU's been a really athletic and talented team, but they've just had so much bad luck that's not really their fault. And I don't know if they're going to be able to avoid another bad luck situation in the tournament. So I think TSU wins, and that takes us to our last quarterfinal of the tournament. March 14th, Thursday, 8:30 p.m. Number 5 seed Bethune-Cookman takes on the number 4 seed Southern. Bethune-Cookman won this season series 2-0. They beat Southern in Daytona by 2 points in overtime, 83-81. And then on March 2nd, they beat Southern in Baton Rouge 67-61 in a game that Southern led for a good stretch. Had a double-digit lead in the second half, let it go. Same thing in Daytona. Even though Bethune-Cookman won both games in this series, obviously both games were decided by a combined 8 points, so tight games. Southern had double-digit leads in both of them. I think they led by as many as 15 in Daytona in the second half, and they led by as much as like 10 or 11 in Baton Rouge early in the second half. So Southern has been able to get out in front of Bethune-Cookman, but they haven't been able to slam the door on them. And that's one of the issues with Southern all season is they can get a lead on you, but they can't slam the door on you. Southern inability to put their foot on your neck and keep it there is the reason why Southern's a 4 seed and not a 2 seed or even a 1 seed. Because when you remember when they played Grambling earlier in the season, they had a 17-point lead or something, 15, 17-point lead, ended up losing by 17. Same thing with like I said, the 2 games against Bethune-Cookman. They blew leads in those games. So, and they had multiple games where they had leads and let teams come back. JSU did it. Alabama State did it. To a degree, Pine Bluff did it. So they can get a lead, but they let it go. And this is a very different team from early January to now. Losing your top guy, who at that point was averaging almost 20 points per game, you're losing that. Early in the season, when after losing Joseph, this team played pretty well. Offensively, I think they didn't really miss a beat. I don't know if guys were playing over their heads to try to compensate for losing a guy like that, or teams just kind of figured out that they don't have this guy that can hit for 25, 30 points. And now we can, pack it inside. We can zone this team and make them beat us shooting, because Southern's not a consistent 3-point shooting team, and they don't really play well inside. And they are horrible at free throws. So Southern has a lot of weaknesses, and this team doesn't have a lot of experience as a team. This is a team that, at this point, it doesn't really matter because we're 33 games into the season or whatever it is. We're new doesn't matter anymore. But this team came in the season with 11 new guys and a new head coach. So it's been growing pains for this team, but the potential is there. And like I said, the fact that you can get double-digit leads on teams shows that you can get ahead of teams. You just can't close them out, whether it's turnovers or whether it's just poor free throw shooting. Something stops you from winning those games. Brandon Davis averages 12.8 points per game for Southern. Had a 31-point game against Bama State on Thursday, so he is more than capable of knocking down a lot of threes. He can get inside and score. Derek Tezano is another guy. He averages like 9 points per game, and he's he averages 5.6 rebounds per game. Tijani Dumase leads the league in assists at 5.5 assists per game. So when he is able to distribute the ball, he's had a 10-assist game, a 12-assist game. When he's able to distribute the ball, that offense is flowing. And that's when Southern's tough to beat. When the offense is stagnant and they can't get in the lane and dish, they're not really able to go on runs, and they're not really able to sustain runs. And that's when teams are able to make a run on them. Southern averages 71 points per game. They give up 68. They shoot 44% from the field. Opponents shoot 43. They shoot 32% from three. The opponents 31. Southern shoots 67% from the free throw line. Like I said, that's the worst of any team in the tournament. I think that's either worst or second worst in the league in free throw shooting. Like I said, they just for whatever reason, they just don't shoot free throws well. That's the second worst free throw percentage in the league. Only Valley shoots worse at the free throw line. So that's a key point in a tournament. You have to make free throws. You're playing a one game and done situation. You need to close out games at the line. You need to start a comeback at the line. You need to maintain a lead at the line. And if you can't do that, you're gonna lose. Against Bama State on Thursday, Southern was 10 or 12 from the line. So they can do it. Will they do it? That's always the key. This is not a big team, so they don't really rebound extremely well. They average 33 rebounds per game, 31 rebounds per game. The opponent's 33. Not a lot of size with Southern, but they got guys that can get inside and work a little bit. You want to make Southern really shoot from outside. You want to force them to make shots. You want to kind of close the lane off and force them to become a jump shooting team exclusively. And whenever that happens, that's when they struggle. Bethune-Cookman has been able to go shot for shot with Southern because they have guys like Zion Harmon, who averages 15 points per game. Deshaun Dyson, he averages like 14. Jacoby Hetty, he averages like 15 points per game. They have scores. Bethune-Cookman has guys that can score the ball. They score 73 points per game. They give up 73. They shoot 43% from the field. Their opponents shoot 43. They shoot 31 from the three-point line. Opponents 34. They shoot 75% from the free throw line. The opponents 72. They average 33 rebounds per game. The opponents 35. So these two teams, if you look at the numbers, they are pretty similar. Southern is a really good defensive team when it comes to keeping teams from scoring. Basically, the bulk of the SWAC season, they've held their opponents under their scoring average. So you're not going to see a lot of games with Southern where the games get into the high 70s and the 80s. But Bethune-Cookman, that's where they like it. They like it they like it like 75 and more. Although they did beat Southern only scoring 67, that's not really where they are. They want to score the ball. They want to get up and down the court. They want to knock down some big threes. They got bodies inside that can score, but they're a more perimeter-oriented team. They do steal. They do play good defense at times, but they're a team. If they can outscore you, they are more than willing to do that. Southern wants to keep the score kind of low, especially now. They want to make it more of a game where if you get to 60, then you should be good. I don't like Southern. I don't like this matchup for Southern for two reasons. One, they've already lost 2 games in this series. Obviously, it's tough to beat a team 3 times, but Southern just has not been able to knock Bethune-Cookman out. Bethune-Cookman has been so resilient against Southern 2 times, and that's got to cast doubt on you if you're Southern. Can you even knock this team out if you get ahead of them again? What if you can't get ahead of them this time? Are they going to run you out of the gym? Southern, I think, has more questions coming into this game as the 4 seed than Bethune-Cookman does as the 5 seed. And 4 or 5 matchups are pretty even. Typically, the records aren't that different in conference. So, these two teams they're pretty similar in some ways. They do have some big differences, but I think Southern's going to have a tough time in this game because they haven't really been playing extremely well in the last month of the season. They did have a 6 or 7 game winning streak in the middle of the season, but they just haven't really played well since that streak got snapped against Texas Southern. They lost 3 games. I think like 3-3 or 3-4, 3-3 or 4-3 in their last few games of the season. So they haven't really. They're 3-4 to close out the season after that 7-game winning streak, basically. So they haven't really been able to play winning ball in these last month or so of the season. So can they do that now moving forward? That's going to be the key. But I like Bethune-Cookman in this game. I think they win it. I think it'll be another close game, but I think Bethune-Cookman advances to the semifinals. That takes us to our first semifinal, which will be Friday, March 15th at 2 p.m. That matchup I have right now, that is the one that would be Grambling taking on Bethune-Cookman, the 1-5 matchup. I like Grambling to win that game. It should be close. I don't know how it should be tight for a while, but I think Grambling has had a lot of success against Bethune-Cookman. I don't think Bethune-Cookman matches up really well with Grambling. And Grambling's just been able to win those games. I think they won by 11 on the road and 9 at home, so pretty comfortable margins in both. I think they win that game again. Like I said, it's tough to beat a team 3 times, but I think they can do it. Texas Southern and Alcorn, that is our 2-3 matchup. Braves, at this point, they'll be won 10 games in a row. TSU, they're the tournament kings. I think TSU is going to find a way to win this game. These two teams played an absolute barn burner like a week or so ago. Alcorn won it 82-79. And, I think that this will be another game where these two teams go to war. I think this is going to be a battle. This could have been a championship game, but I think TSU is going to survive and advance. I think it's going to be a close game, I think TSU is going to advance, and they'll take on Grambling in the championship game, which is Saturday, March 16th at 8:30 p.m. Late championship game this season. I think Grambling wins this game. Grambling's the team of destiny this season. They haven't made the SWAC. They haven't made the NCAA tournament, so this is history in the making. And I don't think that they're gonna let TSU beat them this season. TSU beat them last year in the championship. TSU beat them early in the season. I don't think that this game is. I don't think Grambling's gonna let this one slip. Now, both games this season were fairly close. Grambling beat TSU in Houston, but they had to hold on in that game. They jumped out to a lead, but they had to hold on and win. So no, I don't think anybody is head and shoulders above the other one in a game like this. This could have been a 1-2 matchup. Instead, it's a 1-3. Not that that's a big difference, but TSU, if they won a couple games earlier that they lost, they could have been in the one spot. These two teams, they're gonna get out after it, and these are probably the best two teams at this point in this point of the year. Alcorn, I'm not discounting them because they are extremely hot and they can cast their hat in the ring for the best team. But when it comes to a team that I know is gonna always be there at the end and the best team in the league, those are the two teams I consider at that point. And I like Grambling to win this and get to the NCAA tournament. And I think that they can win if they get, which I hope they don't. If they get a first four matchup, I think they can win it. I would love to see a SWAC team win a 116 matchup. I don't know if our resumes are good enough at this point for a 15 seed. Grambling, if they win the tournament, they'll be 20-14. That's not bad. I don't know if they're non-conference. They have wins over North Texas. That's really their only non-conference D1 win is against North Texas. North Texas at Dallas, so that's not even UNT. So they don't have a D1 non-conference victory under their belts. So that kind of hurts when you look at bumping up a seed. But depending on some of these tournaments, there are some there are going to be some teams that are really low on the ladder winning their tournaments, and I think it's the A-Sun. They're going to have a team who is not their number one team win the tournament. So there's opportunities there if other teams make it that bump you up the ladder. So I still think Grambling, if they make the first four, I think they have a good chance of winning. I do like this team. I think they're playing a whole lot better ball than they did at the beginning of the season. And I think they're the team to beat. So with that being said, man, I'm your tour guide around the SWAC Seawells. We will be back on Wednesday to start recapping this tournament. So keep it locked in with us. Keep it locked in on bustingbrackets.com. My tournament preview will be dropping early this week. So y'all make sure y'all rock with us. And we will catch y'all on the rebound. Peace.